Hi, so I'm North Star, and thanks so much for everyone who's paid attention to our travels on the long trail this past summer. We had a great time. This is the gear that I took with me on the trail. I kind of have things logically laid out, and I'll discuss what I took, whether or not I take them again. First, the big three. My pack was hyperlight mountain gear. I believe it's called the Southwest. It's a good pack. I had them ordered with the extra plastic frame sheet. Didn't have any issues with it. It's very waterproof, it's very light, it's very comfortable on your back. It's the 55 liter version. It's a little too large for our packs and what we carry, so I probably wouldn't bring this type of pack again. And actually we did order a 40 liter, which we'll be trying out in the near future. But definitely get the frame sheet. It makes things a little bit more rigid in your pack. This is my sleep system. So every night I always had this Enlightened Equipment jacket that they now sell. I got the 7D nylon outer. It's very durable, very warm, no complaints there. The quilt I use is a 40 degree. I use the Enigma Apex. I'm allergic to feathers, so anyone out there who is allergic to feathers, definitely get the Apex if you're interested in quilts. Pros, they're very comfortable, they're great in all different types of temperatures. Negatives, if you don't bring the straps, you are more prone to having some drafting issues. So definitely bring the straps that they come with. It's definitely a plus. I also like the sewn-in foot box. I do have one of their other versions that opens up, the Revelation. I would not go with that if you sleep a little bit cold. This was pretty okay for most of the trip. Once we got down south and we did a southbound trek of the long trail, once I got down south, this barely cut it. Part of that is this has been used for a couple of seasons now, so it's definitely overly compressed. So some of the loft is gone, and the insulative properties are not what they once were. But from now on in my new system, I'm only bringing a 20 degree Apex quilt, so something to think about. I always had an extra pair of socks for at night, so I can have my feet in something dry. Also, if you wake up and you're a little bit cold, they make a great set of emergency gloves if you really need them. So over here, this is pretty much the only preventative thing I did to sort of help my legs out, and I always brought compression socks, and these went on right when I got to camp every night. They're great, they're comfortable. Whether or not they actually help you, really don't have any science behind it. They helped me though. I always kept this in with my sleep stuff because I don't like to night hike at all. This is our Petzl E-Light, the newer version of the headlamp. It's great, it does what it needs to. I never brought backup batteries. I usually just use the red light on it. Pug Dog and I don't really like hiking at night, so we kind of just made it a point to start early and finish when the sun was going down. Some might say this is a luxury item. I think Pug Dog feels that way. This is a necessity. It's the Sea to Summit. It's their fancy pillow. I don't even remember what it's called. It has like a softer, I don't even know what it is, coating on the outside. It's great. You've got to have it if you're a side sleeper, or if sleep is important and you need a pillow. When you blow it up, one side is thicker than the other. So if you're sleeping on your side, you would flip it. If you're sleeping on your back, you'd flip it back. For me, the 6 ounces, totally worth it. I use the usual Neo Air. I believe it's called the X-Lite. It's loud, but that's the only drawback. It's warm enough for pretty much all 3-season camping. The last part of our big three, what do we use for shelter? We use the Hyperlight Mountain Gear rectangular shaped tarp. We used it 2 nights, and it was great. No complaints there. We brought this was made by Mountain Laurel Designs. It's a Cuban fiber, just ground cloth. So we always use this in the shelters to protect our sleeping mats, just from dirt, really. I wasn't really ever worried about splinters. This is also great under the tarp to protect you from the dirt. On my body every day, I always had a pair of Dirty Girl Gaiters. I don't know if I'd use them again. There's pros and cons to it. I still got things in my shoes. I got less dirt and grime and twigs in my shoes, but I gotta tell you the truth, I don't love putting them on in the mornings on a trail that's constantly wet. Outdoor research, some sort of safari hat that keeps the sun out. I only had to use it a couple times, and I didn't use it for the sun, I used it for the bugs. I only used it towards the end of our time on the trail. I had this Sea to Summit bug hat. Again, this and this is one of the greatest little duos for keeping the bugs away. On my body during the daytime, I always wore this New Balance. It's meant for tennis, I think. Well, that's how New Balance advertises it. It's great. It's probably the best hiking shoe I've ever hiked in. It's light, it's made of, I think, polyester. Doesn't smell. And I wore it like every single day and sweat in it every single day, so I love it. Can't speak more highly about it. The same brand, New Balance. Their shorts, I think these are also called the Accelerate shorts, and that's an Accelerate shirt. Love them. They had this great like ventilation on the side. No issues, there's no liner. They were pretty short, but they weren't too short. And I had like one tiny little pocket if I needed to put a bar in it. I did bring a chill pat. I kind of think these are necessary if you're getting off of a couch and you've had knee problems in the past. But once your legs get adjusted to the trail, you probably won't need one of these. Once my muscles got adjusted to doing the ups and downs of the trail, this pretty much stayed in my pack. Garmin Forerunner 230 watch, great for running at home. On the trail, ditch it. Don't bring one of these. You have to recharge it. I mean, this is the biggest waste of anything. Injinji socks, love them. Super thin with my running shoes. They were great. They always, they had a better chance of drying out than thicker socks. The only negative would be because they're thin and the long trail has so much dirt and grime that gets in your shoes with the mud of the trail, these kind of tend to break down. But for most trails, these are great. I would never change them. Never any blistering issues. Black diamond trekking poles. Some people say they help take the stress off of your knees. I go slower when I need to, when I don't use trekking poles, and I go faster when I need to, and I don't rely on these, so I tend to not get injured. I think I'm in the minority, but I actually feel like I do more damage to my body when I use these, because they make me feel like I can go a little bit faster than maybe what's actually good for me. So, and I like to have my hands free to grab things if I need to, and also use your camera. Sleep system, a part of it, I always had a pair of leggings. On the long trail, especially with my new revelation, my personal revelation that a 40-degree bag is kind of silly and a 20-degree quilt is all that you need for anything, I wouldn't bring these again. Wind pants are a must. So they're not for the wind, they're for two things. One, if it's really buggy, they keep the bugs off of you. And two, they give you the extra bit of warmth you'd actually need for most summer and actually 3-season hiking that I do, that you would need. This with a pair of shorts, if you're moving, all the warmth you'll ever possibly need. So love these. Those are indispensable and they weigh like maybe under 2 ounces. I use this New Balance, looks like I'm sponsored by them or I just love their gear, but New Balance I don't know, it's a running shirt of sorts. It's really stretchy. It hugs. I loved it for a sleeping shirt, and I used it the last day because it kept the bugs off of me when they were bad in southern Massachusetts. Oh, southern Vermont. Definitely the best piece of advice that I ever had when I first started backpacking was switching to trail runners. Why? A, they're breathable. You can't really keep your feet dry on the trail. There's always either sweat from the inside that's happening with your feet, or there's water from the outside in terms of ground conditions or actually rain falling. If you have a waterproof sneaker, that water is going to get trapped one way or another. You can't keep all the water from the outside from getting in, and a waterproof sneaker will also not allow your foot to properly breathe, which leads to blistering. And secondly, they're light, so I love them. If you do the Dirty Girl Gaiter thing, you have to glue the Velcro on the back. I also used inserts. I used Superfeet's, they're the carbon inserts. That's another must. I don't have great stride or gait, and I overpronate. So those are kind of a key when you're out there on the trail. This is the standard Z-Packs bear bag. Everyone uses these. You guys know what these are for. The only thing is, if you eat a ton of food and you're trying to go for more than 5 or 6 days, this thing is gonna get pretty packed. So just something to be aware of. The hang kit for the bear bagging stuff. I adopted the flip-flops about halfway through. I definitely would bring these on a trail like the Long Trail. It's so wet, you have to give your feet a chance to dry out. So this is my food kit. I had a Tokes 2-cup capacity cup, a windscreen, which if you're gonna use Esbit, you kind of need to have a windscreen. Esbit's great. The only knock on it is if you're gonna do a longer trail, like say the Appalachian Trail, and you're not gonna plan all of it out, you wouldn't wanna use the Esbit because they don't sell it anywhere, except for REIs or something. There's drawbacks. They smell, they leave a film at the bottom of your cup after they're done cooking. And we always had these things in the 2 stuff sacks with the lighter. I did have a little Sea to Summit spoon, which is great with the meals that you add water to, the freeze-dried meals. I always brought a little towel. Really, the only reason for this is to clean up condensation off of the tarp if you use it, and to have something that you can just, if you need to, wipe up water with, clean yourself off with from the rain, anything like that. I did bring some moleskin and a few band-aids. You don't need that much first aid out there, in my opinion. Everyone's different. Electronics, I brought the Anchor. It could charge up my iPhone 7 Plus 3.5 times, which is plenty. You have to have the Anchor quick charge plug wall adapter. I brought a little iPhone lightning cable. These are another indispensable thing on the trail. If you're gonna be doing big miles and you're gonna be out there for 12 hours of hiking, it gets pretty boring. You need something to psych yourself up with. So if music's your thing, which it's my thing, definitely bring a pair of earphones, earbuds. Don't bring Bluetooth. That's just, in my opinion, kind of dumb. You don't really need to waste the battery in your cell phone with it running on Bluetooth. I didn't bring hand sanitizer. All I brought was Dr. Bronner's soap. A tiny little drop after you use the restroom is fine. I don't bring toilet paper out on the trail. I just do this, and I wash. That's all you really need. Sounds totally gross to do that barehanded, but it's really not. And you have to wash your hands anyways, so don't need anything that's gonna make that messy, I guess. Floss, definitely necessary. A little thing of toothpaste, definitely necessary. A toothbrush, Pug Dog and I shared one. Didn't need to. A Sawyer squeeze, the full regular size, it's good. And I brought a razor. This is not the exact one I brought. It was plastic, it weighed an ounce. Pug Dog always brought some cash, and I always brought a credit card and my ID. All in all, my kit, everything in it, weighed approximately a little over 10 pounds. And then when I added town clothes, halfway through out, it weighed about maybe a little over 11 pounds. I really wouldn't get caught up in weight. I really wouldn't get caught up in gear and buying all the fancy stuff. I would just buy stuff that A, works for you, fits in your budget, and the biggest thing, think about what your objectives are. If you want to hike big miles and you're not spending a lot of time at camp, you don't need a lot of camp amenities. You need things that are going to be light on your back and they're going to get you from point A to point B. Because otherwise, all that stuff's just going to be sitting in your pack, taking up space. One thing I did bring, and I really do like the Hyperlite Mountain Gear brand. I brought these pods that they make. I have a large and a small. They're good. I would never personally use them again. You can fill them up, but they don't uniformly they just don't make a great use of volume. So you have a lot of dead space in your pack. That's all I can say. Don't revere the gear, just enjoy the hiking and enjoy the work.